Hi, welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the Empath Sisters. I'm Shelly.
Hi, I'm Bev.
And last week, oh, sorry, I guess it wasn't last week, it was a couple weeks ago or last episode, we talked about signs. And
Yeah,
today we're going to talk about low and high vibrational energies and how to just know the differences, I guess, really, or just some of our experiences on
yeah,
the differences. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It'd be nice to kind of share our experiences and what we've um, been through, I guess, over the years. And we won't share all of them, but probably just a few, just to kind of give you an idea of, maybe the differences in the energies and what
right.
those feelings are like or experiences are like. And then maybe you'll know for yourself if you've ever had any of those experiences. You'll know, oh, that's what I was dealing with, or oh, okay, that's who was visiting.
Hmm.
I think it's super nice to know what you're dealing with. I think it just brings
Right.
some clarity in. So there's differences between higher vibrational energy and low vibrational energy. And for high vibrational energy, and what I'm referring is to like loved ones that have crossed over. High vibrational energies are for anybody that has crossed over onto the other side. They are what's called in love and light. And so they vibrate at a higher frequency. And so an example would be a loved one that's crossed over when they come around to visit you. It feels loving. It's like a sign. You get those signs, or it's like they pop into your mind and you know that they're around. It's very loving. It's comforting. And then it's short and then they just kind of take off.
Right.
And so when I talk about low vibrational energy, that is where a spirit has not crossed over, and what I refer to as earthbound spirits. So they're essentially stuck here on the physical plane. And in order for them to stay here connected to the physical plane, they need energy. And so this is where oftentimes people experience, oh, they'll say, like, I have a ghost in my house. And it might be, the TV turns on and off, and things get moved around all the time. It's constant. It's every day you're having these types of issues.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, that's not usually like your loved one coming around harassing you, playing jokes every single day. These are people that are stuck here. They think they're still living. And this is why these things are happening every day, because they're still here. Sometimes earthbound spirits can be stuck here. Sometimes it'll be spirits will have not known that they've passed. They think that they might have went in their sleep, say, for example. Um, so they might not realize that they have crossed over. And so they just are living every day and not realizing, like, why are these people living in my house? Like, get
Yes.
out, and so
Yeah.
they'll do these things in the house. And those are the ones that typically, even when I do house clearings or space clearings, that's where I kind of create that white light and have, crossed spirits over to the other side so that they're not here. It really serves them no purpose to be here
Right.
when
And,
they've passed.
as you're saying that, it makes me
Mhm.
think, well, it's not even just think, they were showing me too, a perfect example. If you don't understand what we're meaning or what Bev's explaining, is
Mhm.
there is a fantastic movie. And I know, yes, it's a movie and it's Hollywood and all that, but you kind of get the idea. But if you watch this movie called The Others, and it's with Nicole Kidman, and it really shows you what it's sort of like for those earthbound um,
Spirit.
vibrational people that are still stuck here.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand the explanation, I really highly recommend watching the movie, just because then maybe you can see it and then you kind of have an idea of what it would be like for them and for us to have them in your
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Totally.
And yeah, like we did have that actually, and I know Bev has mentioned it before. As we lived in this one home, we did have an earthbound person that passed over in the home but did not cross over, and her
Yeah.
name was Elizabeth, and she
Mhm.
she did was around us a lot, and as
Oh
Bev
yeah.
said before, she was definitely around, and she was a trickster and a prankster, and she loved to, do things, and well, kind of,
Yeah.
not
She was a
intentionally,
kid.
yeah, like she didn't intentionally try to scare us, but
No.
she was just playing. She was a little kid, I can't even remember her age. I think she was like between 5 and 7 at that time.
Yeah.
And so, of course, she's still going to be that child that wants to
Mhm.
play, right?
Oh,
So,
totally. I
yeah.
remember the first time that I saw her, I was
Mm-hmm.
standing, we had a really long hallway, and I remember just standing there, and it was always dark. And so I always went to like flick on the light for the hallway. And I
Yeah.
remember seeing her in her little nightgown. She passed in the night.
Mm-hmm.
She was really sick, and she had long blonde hair, and she was in this little blue nightgown,
Mm-hmm.
and she was all the way down at the end of the hallway. And I remember seeing her, and I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden she started to come flying towards me. And I was like, that scared me because I wasn't expecting her just to come flying at me, like
Exactly.
floating down the hallway. And so I quickly flicked on the light thinking that that would just get rid of her. But it didn't. And that's how I also had those experiences. And I remember I flicked it on, and then I started walking straight down the hallway. And I remember us meeting, and I remember walking through her. And it was like I could feel her energy, and I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
that was so weird.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I just started to learn so much about her and get to know her. And it was like she lived in our house. She was like another kid that lived with us,
Yep.
only we saw. And she was just like a sweet, sweet girl. But I know, I was about that age too
Mm-hmm.
when we lived there.
Yeah.
So I didn't know at the time anything about earthbound spirits and that people were
No.
stuck here and how to cross them over, anything like that. That is definitely has been something that has been guided to me along my journey that I do. And I
Yeah.
have already crossed Elizabeth over
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And so now she just comes around, once in a while just to like, hello, or
Yeah.
yeah, make her presence be known. But
Right.
yeah, she's I still like, oh my gosh, I remember when she used to, I remember in our bedroom, the dresser,
Yeah,
my
that's
sister
all
and
I
I,
keep being shown is the ching 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 ching. I'm like,
we
oh
had
my
this
god.
dresser in our bedroom. Shelly and I had bunk beds.
Yeah.
And so I had this tiny little dresser, and it had these dainty little vintage handles
Handles.
that
Yeah.
just kind of hung.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would play with them like, tink, and she would just lift them, and they would go tink, tink
Yep.
against the little metal plate that they rested against. And I remember laying in bed being like, oh my gosh.
I know. And then remember when we didn't have enough room in our bedroom, so then we moved it into the hallway because how our hallway was, we were going down the hallway, and then just before the bathroom, there was this little like indent
Yeah,
type
that's
like
right.
insert of the wall. And so we decided to put the dresser there. And I remember walking down the hallway like thinking, please don't do it. Don't do it.
Yes, I remember that. And then you would just hear it out in the hallway
Yeah.
at nighttime instead of
Yeah.
in our bedroom, which was actually better. I was like, oh,
For us.
you go play out there.
Yeah,
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh.
Yeah, she
And
used to really love doing that.
I remember Keith didn't really, our brother didn't like, he had her room.
Yeah,
Our brother stayed in the room where she had passed.
past. Yeah.
And
Oh, I remember when he was like, when he found out. Remember when we found out? And he found out that it was his room. He was like, oh, God, great. And he was like, I think he was like, he couldn't sleep for like, I'm sure, weeks. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
which
We would have to ask him, but
totally,
seriously, he
which
could
is
not.
like, how funny is that? That yes, she passed in there, but as we think about it when we're younger, we're a little bit afraid
Yeah,
that it's like they're there, but yet she was
right.
everywhere,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like it's so funny
I
that
know.
he felt that way, but that's
Oh,
just how our minds work, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But I remember that one time we grew up Jehovah Witness. I know we had mentioned
Yeah.
in our intro
Mm-hmm.
video. And so we didn't get to be involved in holidays and activities and that
No,
sort of thing. So
that's right.
we were never allowed to trick or treat and dress up for Halloween.
Nope.
So I remember that one Halloween, our dad worked night shift a lot. So he would have the windows like blackened out.
Yeah.
And so he would never want trick or treaters to know we were home. So we would hang out in the back bedroom in the, so that nobody knew we were home. But we would hang out in there as siblings and we would hear stuff going on down at the other end of the house. And we'd be like, did you hear that? What is that? Like, even to this day, I don't like Halloween because of all the experiences we've had around Halloween.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Like that portal is opened. I so believe in that. And I remember looking down the hallway going like, what is that? And I remember seeing two spirits and they were like cowboys. It was like kind of like a Western type saloon is what it felt like that I was seeing it down in the living room. And these two were having like this Western like brawl. And there was like a bar fight that was happening. And that's why there was so much ruckus and noise happening in the living room. And I remember us all being freaked out and gonna like, let's go get them. And
oh yeah, that's right. I remember now. Because I was thinking, I remember like kind of like as you're talking about it.
Water.
What's that?
I got a fly swatter. That was what I went to go and like, let's go get the spirits out of here. I don't even know what items you guys had. Like, did you have like a baseball bat or?
No, I actually think one of us had a knife, and I don't remember if it was me or Keith. I can't remember, but I don't even know why we would have a knife. Like what we were going to do with it.
I got a fly swatter. I guess I could just like shoo them away, but
And when I mean by knife, I don't mean like we didn't have like a what do you call those? Like a, what chefs make. We didn't have something like that. It was like probably a butter knife at the time. I don't remember. It was like a small
as little
knife.
As we were.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was funny. But
I remember Mom and Dad coming home that evening, and I remember telling Dad, I saw little man fighting, and he was like, no, like so. Never wanted to hear it, and I was like, yes. I wanted to keep telling him, and he was like, no. Never.
Yeah, no, we didn't have that in the house. Yeah.
No. And I was like, I had fly swatter. I was so scared, but
well, I really I will have to say though, like I do agree with you about Halloween. I'm the same way. I've never liked Halloween. I've had lots of stuff that happened on Halloween, and I can tell you one of my experiences, and it was in the same place, like where we lived in the mobile home, and it was Halloween. And same thing, like we normally did. It was either we stayed at home and hide, from the trick-or-treaters and all that because it was so bad. And so anyway, I remember going to bed and I don't even think I was probably 10 or no, because you would have been at least, 5 by the time we lived there, right? At the mobile home?
Oh, yeah, I think so for sure. Because, I started kindergarten.
Yeah, so I would have been at least 11 or 12 at the time. And I remember being kind of just a little bit, scared, nervous about Halloween because we were taught like it was, bad and and evil. Scary and evil. Yeah, like the devil, right? The devil. Devil's work. Yeah.
Devil's work.
Yeah, and we're going to bed. And this is partly why I have my door shut all the time now.
He does.
But at that time, I always had my door open because I felt like it was safer that way. But anyway, I remember going to bed and I was on the bottom. No, I think at that time we were not sharing a bunk bed anymore. At that time, I think we were just in separate beds. And I remember laying there and I just happened to just kind of like turn over and look towards the hallway and the doorway. And I was like, I got this like overwhelming anxiety, right? Like I feel like somebody's there. And I remember taking the blanket and I was like, like covering my face because I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared, right? So I go like this and all of a sudden I could actually Like I felt an energy come, and it was like above me and breathing.
Ugh,
And
hate those ones.
yeah, and I was like, oh my God, just like paranoid about it. And of course, you're curious as a kid too, right? Because you're like, what
Yeah.
is it, right? So I remember pulling my blanket down just to see. And I passed it like probably right up to my chin. And I look and I was like, okay, there's nobody there. But then I looked over to the doorway again.
Hmm.
And in the doorway at that moment,
Hmm.
I saw a skeletal body just standing there. And I went, oh, and I ran and I, like shoved my blanket back up over my
Hmm.
face, and then I felt that breathing again, and I was like, oh my
Oh,
God, oh my God, oh my God. And I remember pulling it down slowly just past my eyeballs, and there it was above me, and it was like and I went it was a scream, oh my God. After that, I definitely shut my door,
yeah.
and I still hated Halloween.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
oh,
I don't
and I
like
felt like
Halloween.
that was definitely a low vibrational energy for sure, just because of I felt like, well, at the time I didn't know this, but now
Mhm.
as an adult, I know this. It's
Yeah,
definitely was something that was low vibrational and that was just trying to, you know, scare me. Obviously, it did its
totally.
job, but
Yeah.
oh, it was just so
And
scary.
that another thing I want to point out is as you were explaining your story at the beginning, you said that you were laying there and you felt anxious. You
Yes,
already could feel
yes,
something like, I'm going to be scared or something. And
yeah,
that is a feeling that spirit can give you when spirit is around, whether low or high. I just
right,
want to put that out there. So, probably not knowing, you
yeah,
probably already had tuned into the energy being around and was
right.
like, oh, and then it gave you that feeling of like, oh, this doesn't feel
Good.
good because it made you scared.
Yeah.
Because I know when I work with spirit now and they're high vibrational, I can feel anxiety and anxious. I can
Yes.
feel the energy come in and I can feel them connecting with me, but I don't feel scared.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah,
totally different feeling. And so that's why I wanted to just point that out
for
so
sure.
that when you have those experiences, you'll just know you might feel anxious, you might feel cold, you might feel whatever, different feelings can happen, but
That's right.
you'll just get a feeling whether it feels good or it feels not so good. It feels like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah,
Then you'll know the difference
that's
between
right.
the energies that are kind of around or hanging around. So yeah, if I go back to the beginning about different vibrational energies and some that are earthbound, ones that haven't crossed over, not knowing whether that they've passed or maybe they've passed in their sleep. And then there's also
Hmm.
um, the example where some spirits are attached to the material world. And so they
Yes.
don't want to go over to the other side. So it could be an addiction also that holds them here.
Hmm.
Um, like if they loved smoking or drinking, or maybe they did have a drug addiction of some kind or something and they loved it and they can't bring that with them over to the other side.
Right.
So they will stay here because they're trying to stay attached to that materialistic part of the world that we don't
That
have. It's the physical stuff. So
right.
um, those are the ones that I typically have to barter with
Hmm.
to,
To go.
to cross over.
Yeah.
It's like an intervention. Listen here,
Yeah.
you don't need to be here. We need to get you over there. Your loved ones are waiting for you.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes they
And
go on the first shot, and sometimes it's a couple
I
times.
was just gonna say, and some are stubborn and they don't want to
Yeah,
go. Depending,
yeah,
I think, what
exactly.
they want, because I don't think they realize too what it's going to be like for them over there, because they
Hmm.
probably are going to be like, well, no, I still am
Or
here,
stay here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So,
Or if they don't want to leave loved ones behind, and
yeah.
sometimes they'll stay back.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of reasons, and those are just some examples based on the experiences that I have had in
Hmm.
my journey working with spirits. So,
Right. Yeah. Same.
um,
Yeah. And I'm glad you pointed that out. That's right. Because I do get anxiety even with high vibrational people too. And it's just
oh yeah,
because of their energy, and sometimes they show me that, right? So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you did point that out, because it's not just about low vibrational energies either,
No, for sure.
but to just know the differences. So that's good. Yeah,
Oh,
for
definitely.
sure. Yeah,
Like when your loved ones are on the other side, they're honestly, they're living life. Like over
yeah.
there is like here. So they're like working, they've got
Hmm.
their homes, they're doing stuff. And
Yeah,
that's why they're not around you. Like they're around you and they can be around you and like in your thoughts and with you in that way.
yeah.
Because there's like no time or space, if I want to say, so
Right.
like they
Yeah,
can be with you. You think about them, they're connecting with you telepathically. It's a little bit different than being here in the physical, where if I'm thinking about you, I need to call you, Shelly, and be like, hey, I'm thinking about you.
right.
Even though sometimes I try to send it with my mind to you. I'm just kidding. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, that's, yeah, and that's
But
another thing too that we can talk about later, but that
mhm,
is, it's like a telepathic way of them trying
totally.
to communicate with us. So, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
all about tapping in. And that's why I'm saying, in signs and stuff before about loved ones coming through, if they pop into your mind, they're like literally right there. They're thinking of you, or they're
That's
right
right.
there with you, comforting
Hmm.
you or saying hello or
Yeah.
whatever. They might bring a memory to you or, anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's but yeah, I get the same feelings of, you know, I can feel anxious when spirit comes in, depending on their energy. And it's not that
Mhm.
I'm anxious because I'm scared. It's just the vibration. It's just who it
Yeah.
makes me feel. It changes
Well,
my vibration.
for sure. Absolutely. And
Hmm.
it's funny when you were saying like a popping of a memory, or, a
Hmm.
thought or whatever. And
Yeah.
I like literally got one yesterday.
Yeah.
I watched that documentary that you recommended, that My Octopus Teacher,
Oh,
and
so
oh my
good.
lord, it was such a. If you have not watched this documentary, go watch it. It
I
is
told you,
like,
it's so
oh,
good.
it's so good, and it made me. If you don't cry, anyway. So
It's
while I
okay
was
if you
watching
don't
this,
cry.
I'm getting off topic. But anyway, while I was watching this documentary, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, I
Yeah.
got it. It sounded like my dad talking to me. He said, I know. And he
Oh, yeah.
always said that.
Yeah, he
Always.
did.
Yeah. Like, I know.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
And I got that.
definitely.
It was like, bam, like
Yeah.
right then and then. And when I heard
Yeah.
it, I was like, it made me emotional. And I mean, the documentary made me emotional too. But
Yeah.
at that moment, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, Dad's just telling me, like, I know you miss me hearing me say that. And so he
Yeah.
just said it. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like just starting to like tear up. And Dwayne looks at me like, oh my God, are you okay, hon? The movie, it's just a movie, it's just a documentary. I'm like, literally like thinking, yes, I know it's just the documentary, but you don't know what just happened. so so
I need to
yeah,
talk
so
about
he's
it.
probably gonna hear this later and go, "Oh, that's why." but
Yeah.
but yeah, but it's like that. And so
Yeah.
like you get this overwhelming thought, or like a pop in or whatever. That's them telling you that they are thinking of you, and that happened to
Hmm.
me last night. So it's
That's
nice to
awesome.
know that you get those too. So
Oh,
yeah,
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 for
it was
sure. I
good. So
prefer working with high vibrational energy. That is my intention.
yeah,
In my work, I really love to work with low vibrational energy.
yeah,
I will only if if it comes up in a clearing or something
right.
like that and somebody needs some assistance, then I'll definitely do
Yes,
that.
yes,
Um, yeah. And,
yeah.
even when I think about low vibrational energy, is any like I don't know if any of you out there that are listening have ever played with a Ouija board, um, but I have, and it wasn't
Yep.
very fun, and it wasn't a great experience. It was really freaky, and I also discovered in the last few years that they sell them at Toys R Us, and
Uh, yeah.
I cannot believe it because which is like children should not play this game because
Oh
I know
no.
what that's like because I was a kid when I played that game and it was not fun.
No.
I remember my girlfriend actually got the Ouija board. She thought it would be cool and she was like, "Hey, you want to come over? I got a new game." And I was like, "Okay." So I went over there. what's this Ouija board? What's that about? And so she explains it to me. Oh, well, it's supposed to, like, you ask it questions and it drags this cursor all around the board. And she knew I was like open.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, okay, we'll see who's going to talk to us. Ugh. And
Sorry, I know this, so I'm just like
biggest mistake ever, and never do it again. But yeah, so we started going around on the board, and then we start asking these questions, and then sorry, I'm laughing because it's uncomfortable, but it's like it just started getting dark.
yeah.
The answers, and I was like, and that feeling, oh, this isn't right, like this
Yeah.
this is not good. This does not feel good.
Mhm.
And then I was like, I don't think we should play this anymore. Like, I think we should just quit. So we quit.
Yeah.
And then once in a while she'd be like, hey, want to play the Ouija board? And I'd be like, okay, we'll see if it's different. No, it was never different. It was like we had the same person or whatever it was come through every single time. And it was just darker and darker every time. And I think we played it like 3 times. And I was like, okay, I'm done with this thing. Like, I
And
don't.
wasn't this the time that you lived at grandma's?
No, that was after.
Oh.
So this was prior to that. So this was like,
oh, okay.
this was grade 6. I didn't move to grandma's till grade 8. So
I know,
2 years
and
I had
just
this
remember.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
2 years I dealt with this stupid thing. And so me and my girlfriend decide, get rid of it. This thing's evil, right? Because it was being evil.
Yeah.
So I remember our intention was we're going to throw this thing in the garbage. So we packed up this box, and I remember we walked down her hallway, went down these 3 steps, went out the door, around the house, down the path, out to the back alley. And this is where their garbage pickup was. She had one of those metal bins. So we opened it and she threw it in there and closed the lid. And we're like, there, we're done with this thing.
It's
and
down.
We that was the intention. And then we come back into the house. So happy, proud, we did it. We get to her bedroom, and the game was on her bed. And we both were like, what? It was the scariest thing. Like, in that moment, I was like, I wanted to do the, what the.
You can say it.
Like, what the.
Because I know I would have.
And we both looked at each other like, how? Like, we just threw it in the garbage. We put the lid on it. How could it have just appeared on her bed?
Yeah.
Like, is this some sick joke? So wherever, we were freaked out. So my girlfriend just like tucked it in her closet. So we left it alone. We're like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Then she says one time, like a month later, I think, it's like, oh, we're going to go to my grandparents' farm. We're going to have, a big fire, and we're going to have like a, hot dog roast, that kind of thing. And it was like 3-hour drive. So it's like a whole weekend thing that we went out there. So I was like, yeah, okay. So I asked my parents, yeah, sure, you can go. And so here we're going out to her grandparents' farm. And she says, I'm going to bring the Ouija board with us, and I'm going to throw it in the fire when we get out there. And then we'll never have it back. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Right. So we pack this stupid game, and so we drive all the way out there. We spent the weekend out there, and her grandparents did have this big kind of like bonfire or whatever. And we hung out and stuff. And as it kind of got quieter, like the grandparents were doing a few things, and we were kind of alone. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to go grab the Ouija board. I'm going to throw it in there. I was like, okay. So she goes in her bag, grabs the game. We run outside, and it's just her and I, and she throws it in the fire, and we watched it burn with our own eyes. And I was like, it's like, finally.
Yeah.
It's going to be gone.
It's like in ashes. It
melted and it burned. It's not coming back. Right. So we thought, awesome. So we felt so proud again. Yeah. All right. High five. We did it.
Yeah.
We beat the Ouija board. So whatever. Then time to go. Sunday comes. We hop in the car. We drive 3 hours all the way back to Edmonton. And we got to her house. We went into her bedroom, and it was on her bed. Yeah. And it was like, what? Like, how does this even happen? It was so freaky. And then my girlfriend, so nice of her, she goes, I don't want this thing. You take it. And so
I know.
Me being so nice. Oh,
you're like,
sure.
yeah.
So I had this Ouija board stuck with it. I tucked it
Mhm.
in my closet.
Yeah.
And I just left it there. Grade 7, I lived with my sister
Yeah.
for a year.
Yeah.
And then after that, I decided to come and
And
move
no, she
back
did not
home.
bring it to my house.
No, I
Thank
left it at
God
my
she
mom's.
did not.
I left it at my mom's. Shelly probably would have killed me. And I didn't want it either. So I left
Yeah.
it at home in my closet at mom's. And yeah, and then I decided to come to move and live in Saskatoon with my grandmother for a year.
Yeah.
And so I packed up all my things
Yeah.
and the Ouija board went in the box and away I went to Saskatoon. So I show up and I get to grandma's house and we're starting to unpack and she's helping me, put all my things away, how grandmas are.
Yep.
And so we get to this one box, she's unpacking and she's putting, I said, oh, this is all stuff from my closet. And she goes, okay, Bevy, let's put it in the closet. So we're putting stuff away. And then our grandma is religious. She's Roman Catholic.
Yes.
And she's open spiritually, but she's also
But
religious.
she's very religious. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she goes in this box and she sees the Ouija. And all I remember she saw it and she goes, oh no. Oh no. And I was like, I looked over and I went, what, grandma? And she pulls out the Ouija board. This will not be in my house. And I went, okay. Good luck getting rid of it because I tried. And she goes, oh no. She goes, watch me. And I went, okay. Been down this road. So my grandma was like, come with me, Bevy. And I was like, okay, we'll see you do this. So we went out of my grandma's house, same thing, out the door, down the path. Her garbage bin is out in the alley. So we go out to the alley, open it up, Bevy. Okay. Opened it up. She throws the Ouija board inside and she goes, there. She did that. And I went, okay, we'll see. I said, I bet you it's going to be on my bed. She goes, I bet you it won't be. And I was like, okay. So we went into the house and it wasn't there. Yeah. And I've never had it back. And I am so grateful.
Yes.
My grandma's got some protection power or something that this thing was finally gone once and for all. Yeah. And I don't know how that worked, but I was so grateful. So that is my experience with the Ouija board. And my kids will never have one.
Nope. And neither will mine. And I don't know if they've ever played with one. I don't know. But same thing. No, that will never happen. And it like Bev said, even when she did live with us, even if she brought it to me, I probably would have done the same thing and said, no way this is going to be in my house. Because I've always been taught, we were taught, well, I was anyway. I don't remember if Bev, I just remember being taught that you do not play with the Ouija board. Even, I think it was even maybe from grandma. I don't even remember, but just remember knowing, no, you don't touch it. You don't play with it. You don't, nothing. Because it was evil. That's what we were embedded, right? And plus we were Jehovah's Witness, so everything was evil. So really.
We were very sheltered.
Yes, we did. And so, we just were taught that. And so I know for a fact that would never happen. And so I was so glad, I remember the story and how it was for you with this Ouija board. And I was so grateful to have known that, it finally disappeared and never came back. And I agree. I just don't know how they can still sell them. But I mean, I know some people who have played with them and they've had fun experiences and that's fine, but it can be not so fun. And
totally. And I just would never take the chances.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for what would happen. And I wouldn't either. And it's just not my type of way to use as a tool. Yeah. And that's what they use them for. Lots of spiritual people or tarot readers, which all those, they do use Ouija boards, and that's fine. That's it's a tool that they can use. Yeah, and that's
I think
fine.
It's a personal preference.
Yeah, and for me, no, that's not what I'm going to use as a tool to communicate with spirit. But anytime I do see anybody who does buy a Ouija board, I do say I wouldn't bring that or buy that. And I did have one guy. I shouldn't say, well, the one guy did buy it, but we were at a game store and I was buying a game, and he was standing kind of like beside me, and his buddy was like, yeah, we got to get this game. And they're like in their 20s. And they're like, we got to get this game. Yeah, we got to play this game. And I kind of overheard and I kind of looked at him like, I wouldn't. And he was like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, no, that would not be in my house. That's for sure. Wouldn't even buy it. So anyway, I grab my game and we go to I go to the till to go pay for it. And there he is. He's in the line and he has the Ouija board game in his hand and he's buying it. Yeah. And 2 days later, get this, 2 days later, I go back because at this time it was Christmas. And I go back and it's Boxing Day. And my husband and I wanted to buy that game Crokinole. I don't know if you know what that game is, but it's one of those boards where you flick. Yeah. So we wanted to buy that game. So I went back to the same store and that guy was there and he was in line and he had the Ouija board game in his arm and he sees me and he says, yeah, my mom said I had to return it. And I said, see, so I said, I told you. And he goes, yeah, you did. So how ironic that I ended up seeing him, oh my gosh. 2 days before and then same day, it was awesome. So anyway, but so so it was a funny experience.
It's one of those experiences and I wish to never have again. No. I don't use that tool to connect with spirit. I just connect with spirit if need be. And my intention is to work with love and light and anyone that's crossed over. Right. And that's just kind of how it's been for a few years. Kind of at the beginning of my journey, I had one really scary experience. About working with spirit. And I learned a lot from that. And so from then on, I just go, no, I'm only working within this and to keep myself. And I also learned at that time how to keep myself protected as well, which is also another tool.
We're going to, for our next episode, we'll talk about, and for our next episode, we're going to talk about protection and how to protect your energy and, from not just low vibrational, but just in general, for protection from anybody else's energies too, and
just protecting your own energy, even in a work setting or around your family or,
absolutely.
If you're sensitive maybe to others' energy or you're more like an empath and you feel things or pick up on things, it's a great way to protect your energy. And I can't wait to talk about protection because I teach on it all the time. It's so important to protect your energy. It's almost like the clothing that you wear. We pick our clothing based on the environment that we're going to go out into. And so we need to do the same with our energy field as well. So
that's right.
I'm excited to talk about that
next time. Yeah.
So
me too.
Thank you so much. So thank you all for tuning in with the Empath Sisters. And we are sending you love and light and gratitude wherever this may find you. And take care.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.